You don't owe me $5, you owe this family. I spread the bills across the table, each one in his name, none of them paid by him. Mary, I told you already, he said, leaning back in his chair as if this were nothing serious. I'll cover the extra electric charges. That's what my family added. The mortgage? That's yours. I clenched my fists. From the kitchen, I could see my daughter doing her homework. Down the hall, his son's laughter echoed. So I'm feeding and housing 4 people, and I should be grateful that you're paying that extra $5? I asked coldly. He took a slow sip of coffee and said lightly, I've got my own expenses. A Corvette doesn't maintain itself. In that moment, I finally understood this man didn't care about family anymore, only about the machine under his steering wheel. I didn't argue. I just quietly gathered the bills. That night, I started keeping records. Water, electricity, internet, trash, groceries. I wrote down every single amount in an old notebook. Each month, when the bills arrived, I'd spread them out on the kitchen table, the same table where he ate, tinkered with his car keys, scrolled on his phone. He never once looked at the numbers. By April, his eldest son Aaron moved in. I thought, foolishly, that this was the beginning of a blended family. Aaron was 25, between jobs. On his 3rd day in the house, I came home from work to find his shoes tossed in the living room, the TV blasting, the fridge door wide open, beer cans rolling on the floor. Could you at least try to keep things clean? I said, keeping my voice calm. He shrugged. Relax, Mary. Dad said this is my home too. I didn't answer. I still believed things would get better once Paul and his twins moved in. In August, they did 17-year-olds Jordan and Mia, plus a dog, a few boxes, and, of course, that silver Corvette. The car roared into the driveway, shaking the windows. I stood at the door watching him step out, grinning like he'd just conquered something. This is a new beginning, he said. I nodded. What I didn't say was, this is also the end. For the first few weeks, I tried to adapt. My daughter Kelly, 12, quiet and kind, offered to share her room with Mia. It's okay, Mom, she whispered. She's family now. But soon, that word, family, lost all meaning. Mia used Kelly's makeup, left dishes unwashed, never took out the trash. Jordan blasted music until 2 a.m., playing video games like he owned the place. Can't you say something to them? I asked Paul one night. He was changing clothes, getting ready to polish his car. They're just kids, he said, not looking up. Don't be so harsh. They need time to adjust. This house doesn't feel like home anymore, I said. He smiled faintly. You're too sensitive. That was his favorite phrase, too sensitive, too emotional, overreacting. It took me months to realize that was how he avoided responsibility. By September, money started running short. For the first time in 13 years, I got a bank alert. The mortgage was 3 days late. My palms were sweating when I saw it. That night, I brought the bills to the living room. The kids were upstairs, the TV flickering blue. Paul, we need to talk. He looked up from his car magazine. Bills, I said, laying them out on the coffee table. I can't keep doing this alone. He frowned. How? Your job's steady, isn't it? Steady? I almost laughed. I pay for the mortgage, electricity, water, internet, food, everything. You last paid a bill 2 months ago. $500 for water. He crossed his arms. I thought we agreed. You handle daily expenses. I handle upgrades. I just haven't started yet. You sold your house for $60,000. Where did that 30 grand go? He paused, then smiled. You know where, it's the down payment for the C8. So you bought a sports car while I pay for your 3 kids? Don't be like that, Mary, he said, annoyed. The car's an investment. I'll sell it for more later. I need money now, Paul. For the mortgage. He shrugged. I don't have cash right now. I couldn't even speak. The TV light flickered on his face, cold and metallic. He didn't look like my husband, he looked like a stranger. After that, we barely talked. At dinner, his kids laughed and grabbed food while Kelly and I quietly ate, cleaning up after everyone. One night Kelly whispered, Mom, why are they always like this? I forced a gentle tone. Not everyone's the same, sweetheart. She bit her lip and said nothing. That weekend, I was scrubbing the kitchen floor when I heard the sound of an engine outside. Paul was back with a new spoiler and a gleaming paint job. "How much did that cost?" I asked. "Don't start," he said, taking off his sunglasses. "It's for a project." And that was when I knew his passion belonged to horsepower, not home. By October, the bills piled up across the kitchen table. When he got home one night, I finally laid down the notebook. "We need to redistribute expenses," I said. "I can't cover everything anymore." "Fine," he said casually. "How do you want to split it?" "By head count. You and your 3 kids, me and my daughter. 5 to 2. You cover at least half." He shook his head. "That's not fair. You already lived here. These bills existed before I came. I'll only pay what my family adds." "What they add?" I laughed bitterly. "They shower, eat, game, use power, use Wi-Fi. You think that's just $5 extra?" He shrugged. "That's how logic works." "And the mortgage?" "The house isn't in my name." We argued so loud the kids shut their doors upstairs. Finally, he said coldly, "If you think it's unfair, then we'll split up and make it clear." He walked into the garage. The roar of the engine drowned out my breathing. Winter came. The heating bill doubled. When I asked him for help, he said, "I'm short on cash." A few days later, he posted a photo online, his new Ducati. I stopped fighting. I just documented everything: bills, messages, transfers. I wasn't planning to divorce him yet, but I knew one day I would. On Christmas Eve, I made a full dinner: turkey, salad, mashed potatoes. The kids laughed around the table. For a brief moment, it felt warm again. Paul raised his glass. "To family." I smiled faintly and clinked glasses. "Let's hope we all remember what family means." He looked away. In January, I received the bank's final warning: the mortgage was over 30 days late. That was my breaking point. I called him. "When will you take responsibility?" My voice shook. He chuckled. "I told you, I don't have money. But you have 2 Corvettes, a boat, and a Ducati. Those are assets, not cash flow." That night, I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I opened my laptop and searched for divorce lawyers. The next day, I went to the bank and refinanced the loan under my name alone. I didn't tell him. I just kept living. One February night, he was in the garage again, fixing his car. I stood at the door. "You know, Paul," I said softly, "I refinanced the house." He looked up confused. "What?" "The house is mine now. The bills are mine. The life is mine." I paused. "So you can take your assets and go." He frowned, almost laughing. "What are you saying?" "Divorce," I said. The garage went silent. Cold metal gleamed across his face. The divorce didn't take long. He took the cars, the boat, the bike. I let him. As long as he left the house. The lawyer asked if I wanted alimony. I said no. I just want peace. On the day we signed, he wore his racing jacket, hands in pockets, eyes flat. "You'll regret this," he said. I smiled. I already did. 3 months later, I saw a photo online. His Corvette was being towed away. Caption: loan default. Vehicle repossessed. I wasn't surprised. The loan papers listed our shared address, my house. He disappeared, so the bank came to me. I gave them the documents. Everything legal, clean, final. That night, I stood by the window, watching the streetlights flicker. Kelly came over. "Mom, is he coming back?" I brushed her hair gently. "No, sweetheart. He's not." Spring came. The mortgage was back on schedule. The house was quiet again. Sometimes I still thought of that car, the sound of its engine, the shine of the metal. It wasn't just noise. It was the echo of all his selfishness and denial. One evening, I got a text from an unknown number. "Mary, I was wrong. If you're willing, maybe we can start over." I didn't reply. I turned off my phone, went to the kitchen, and helped Kelly with dinner. The breeze slipped through the open window. For the first time, the only sound left in the house was life itself. People say marriage is about partnership. What I learned is this: partnership takes honesty, not accounting. When someone treats family like a balance sheet, they'll realize too late what they lost wasn't money. It was trust. And for Paul, those $5 of electricity became the most expensive payment of his